when a woman got pregnant, they didn't know who the real dad was. First of all, okay, monogamy is good for short time frames, I believe. Like personally, I think 3 months max, maybe up to a year, but forever is crazy to me. But that's just me. But the reason I think monogamy is unhealthy and unnatural, not only for the people involved, but also for the children they raise, because there's been studies conducted where children that have been raised in divorced homes that have been remarried, so there's 4 parents instead of 2, they have twice the amount of role models, adult role models to model after and look up to. Those children have grown up to become more emotionally and financially stable. And furthermore, hundreds or thousands of years ago, when people all lived in tribes together, when a woman got pregnant, they didn't know who the real dad was. They weren't practicing monogamy like that back then, for the most part, I'm sure. So when the child was born, it literally took a village to raise the kid, and they all raised the kid as their own child. And as far as I know, there were no history of depression and anxiety and PTSD and all of these things that seem like they're new, but I don't want to get on the whole big pharma thing, but that's a big factor in it as well. But like, you're seeing a lot of increases in depression, anxiety, and these mental disorders that are really just natural phases in the human experience. But they have become personalities and identities now. And I think that is due in part to improper parenting, which is an effect of this forced monogamy concept.
Dang. Okay, so I don't know exactly the numbers on that, so don't quote me for this, everyone that's watching, but I was talking to my friend the other day, and he comes from a single parent household, and the articles and such that he was listing was actually the opposite of what you were saying. So I'm interested, to the people listening, like what information you have about that and what articles you can list, because what he was referencing was men, I think primarily, grow up to be more successful whenever they are not in a marriage that has been split, because it causes less confusion. So I'm wondering, like, what the connect there is. I get what you're saying, and I can understand like how that would be true, if that is true. Like I guess I can get that, because someone has like multiple different examples, not saying that
Well, I was quoting Jordan Peterson, who's a clinical psychiatrist that is a world-renowned. Now he's turned into a public speaker because everyone just loves what he has to say. But he's very data and science rooted. So that's what I'm basing what I said off of.
Wow, that's really interesting.
I'm obviously not qualified to come up with any sort of science myself.
Right. Me either, guys. We're just conversation,
I just listen to smart people and then believe them. I just listen to a lot of people and then I choose who to believe. I do my research, which is internet based, and Googling, which is the best kind of research, because there's people like, oh, you're just going to believe everything you see on the internet. Well, what else are you going to do? You're going to go to a library? People can lie in books too, And also you got to flip through a lot of pages to see that. You can just control F and find keywords. The problem with that though, is you can support any narrative that you wish to believe for the most part, if you just ignore certain data. But I'm not the type to come in with looking for something for the most part, unless I'm in an argument with someone. But if I just come into everything with an open mind, and I'm just like, okay, let's see. I just want to see the available data, and then I'll make my own mind up about it.
Right. But to be fair, you did kind of believe in monogamy before you did the research, right? Or you didn't believe?
No, I've never believed in monogamy since I was a kid.
I meant the opposite of that.
Yeah. Since I was a kid, I was like, I'm never gonna have a girlfriend. And then I didn't have one until I was 26, and it was a great choice. because that was there's a lot of emotions involved, and there's like, and then you break up and there's healing, and then you gotta like you gotta change who you are to be with them, and you have to, it seemed like in my relationship, which was not uncommon, that I had to sacrifice a lot of who I was to make her happy, which I don't think is necessary. I think it is possible for both people to stick to who they are and continue doing what they're doing. And I think you can have your cake and eat it too, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
But I think it's just up to society to catch up, because culture is just a mass hallucination. Culture is not your friend. Culture is a lineage of traditions. Just because we've been doing them for a long time doesn't mean they're right. We did slavery for a long time. That wasn't right. We eat meat. I don't think we should be doing that. India doesn't do that. That's a nation of 1 billion people that are entirely vegetarian. And they don't have the government subsidizing the meat industry. And there's a lot of examples of just historically believed acts of, or historically accepted things that turned out not to be that great of an idea, like gasoline, like gasoline powered cars was a terrible idea. Sucking oil out of the ground and then burning it into the atmosphere. And then the fact that Tesla just became a company within the last, I don't know, less like 10, 13 years, like that should have been the first step. We shouldn't have been like, you know what, after all this burning of oil, why don't we switch over to, we should have just went straight to, there's a fly. I don't have schizophrenia. We should have just went straight to the battery powered stuff, because electricity is renewable. We can get it from the sun.
Right.
I mean, Henry Ford wanted to make a fully hemp run car that was made of hemp, and the inventor of the automobile.
I didn't know.
And they wanted to run off ethanol, which is the reason the reason the prohibition happened is in big part is because ethanol was a big competitor to US Standard Oil, and US Standard Oil was one of the biggest atrocities in humanity, second to the Roman Catholic Church in terms of well, I guess they didn't murder anyone, but just as far as the environment goes, US Standard Oil was not kind to it still is not. I mean, we have all these oil spills, and you know, I do support capitalism to an extent, but it also is the reason that the environment is getting destroyed. So I'm on the fence about it, because capitalism works for me, and I found out how to make, and I think anyone living in America has the ability to make it work for them as well. But you know, humanity is just an ongoing process of learning what's right and what's wrong, and readjusting that with new data that's presented. And it's just part of the growth and healing process of humanity as a whole to get to a point where we will figure it out.